Hello and welcome to Storyboard. I'm Shibani Gharat. Today we are in conversation with Anupriya Acharya, CEO, Publicis Groupe South Asia. She is speaking to us about many things, including the big PepsiCo win, what are clients spending on this festive season, will global macroeconomic factors dampen the festive mood, and what new opportunities and business models excite her as a leader. Anupriya, welcome to CNBC-TV18.
My pleasure.
We are meeting in person after 2 years. So 2 years of pandemic later, what are the emerging opportunities that interest you as a leader?
Well, the pandemic has changed a lot of things. We saw the acceleration of digital adoption through the pandemic, and that has had a huge impact on all businesses, including ours. The kind of shift that we have seen is quite humongous, and that has impacted our businesses very, very positively. We were already pivoted in that direction, so we've seen more than a fair share of market share gain with that, and a lot of learning, a lot of excitement has got generated around that, and that's a great thing. The other area I think that has seen a lot of shift, quite a dramatic change, is the emergence of India as a very important player in the global scheme of things. So it became the pharmacy of the world. It has the talent advantage, and hence as people, this remote working became more easy, the India talent advantage became more apparent. We saw the birth of so many unicorns. India became the unicorn factory. So all of these things also have impacted obviously our business, and India has started playing a much larger role in the overall global network. As well as the kind of requirements that these new set of clients and new set of companies, the startups have of our businesses is very, very different. So it has helped us also sort of reinvent a lot of the areas that we were working on. So that's been very, very exciting.
Yeah.
Another thing which has shifted is the whole focus on purpose for brands. We've seen this, right? Purpose has come into sharp focus for brands, and even if you look at the 2030 global agenda for sustainable development, clearly brands will have a huge role to play over there. And we being in the communications business, I feel that this is a very exciting time for all of us to be playing our bit of role in this whole area. And last but not the least, we've spoken about talent. We can't shift from this topic without talking about talent.
Yes.
So we've seen like the way talent deals with organizations, the way people treat their work, the relationship that they have with work has also changed. Firstly, there are a lot of new skills which are much in demand, and there's not enough trained talent. So obviously all organizations are having to train and recruit and train in scale. A lot of talent wants to work remotely, work in different parts, they want to work on their own terms, and talent has been one of the core focus areas for organizations like us, because it's a knowledge profession of knowledge.
And it's a people's business.
It's a people's business. So clearly we've seen that our own strategies around talent have also really matured a lot. And it has been fun. A lot of it is like new learnings for us, and I think we've gone to another level altogether, and personally for me as well, it's been a lot of learning.
Absolutely. And as we stepped out of this pandemic, and just as things started beginning to go back to normal as we used to know, Publicis Media won the mandate for PepsiCo. So how important was that win for your organization, Anupriya?
Well, I think it was a testimony of sorts of many things. We are very, very excited about it, of course. So a few things I think that it underlines really. One, of course, it was an ultra competitive pitch because of the, like you said, given the scale and the size of the business and the stature of the business, right? I think anybody who could pitch was pitching for it. So obviously the best of wares were out. To have won in that, obviously sweet victory for anyone. More importantly, each of the parts were pitched separately. Each line of business had to pitch separately. So it was not an all-in-one kind of a diffuse pitch. Media was separate, creative was separate, digital was separate. And each of our lines of businesses had to pitch and win it independently. And I think that speaks volumes of the expertise that is there in each of our lines of businesses. And here, Shibani, I'd like to take this opportunity to make a very pertinent point. A lot of conversation happens around this whole integrated offering. Integrated offering doesn't mean that there is a diffusion or suboptimal independent services. So we believe that you have to have strong independent individual services and of course then collectively you are unbeatable.
Yeah.
So this was very, very significant part of the pitch for us, that we pitched, each part was pitched separately and won separately on its own merit, be it creative, be it digital, be it media. Also the entire portfolio was consolidated. In media, any case, AORs are a norm, but in creative, you know, a lot of clients do split their businesses, but we won that entire portfolio as well. Shows the scale and the expertise and depth of knowledge.
And how competitive is the pitch environment right now?
So pitch scenes have always been ultra competitive, and there is no difference in that. So pitches continue to happen, but the nature of businesses and the requirement for the pitches has changed quite dramatically in the last few years. So we find, for example, increased requirement for specialist expertise, like agile content, commerce, performance. All these areas were more like an add-on earlier, but now they're becoming very core to pitches, where it is important for you to be able to have demonstrated expertise in that. Secondly, obviously, the pitches are also quite dependent on the nature of the business of the client. So there are new app economy clients which have a very different requirements. So you need to have all of those skills. And then there are the old economy evergreen clients which are looking at, say, reimagining their business. And you need a different set of you know, sort of expertise for that. I think basically what is coming into sharp focus is expertise, scale, capabilities, but also agility. For a lot of clients, that's very important.
How do they judge agility of a particular agency or a setup or a group?
You can demonstrate that. Like, for example, how quickly were you able to settle your last business that you won? Right?
Yeah.
How quickly? So, and then you have, like, you know, we invest very heavily, for example, on operating systems. We demonstrate that how some of the tasks that linearly take so much time, you know, with the usage of this, you are able to trash all those timelines and be, you know, agile in the market, and so all of that. The other thing that we've changed, like I've seen, which has changed over a period of time. See, all clients, all businesses are always under some sort of a cost pressure, the point you touched upon. So they are obviously looking for efficiencies. But in more recent times, I think value creation has become very important. And clients also, in the pitches, I think that is also judged. That, you know, because efficiency can lead you only to so much of, you know, so far. But if you are not fundamentally growing the business, which is what we call as value creation, if you're not fundamentally growing the business, then there is only so much. I mean, you can keep doing pitch after pitch, but the efficiency is not going to really grow your business. So I think that has become, as the market has become more competitive and tough, I think the clients have also increasingly they are shifting focus there.
Why do you say it's become tough? Like, what is leading to that?
So firstly, there are many more brands today as compared to a decade back, right? So there are similarly, if you look at the lines of communication, okay, it's totally disrupted with the onset of digital and what technology has done to people. And now we are again sitting on a cusp of another disruption with Web 3.0 coming in. So the thing is how, I mean, when I started my career in mid-90s, it was already like television was making big sort of, you know.
So you have lived through that experience.
I have lived through that.
So you have learnings from there. So what are those learnings actually?
So one of those,
if you can share.
In hindsight, I can tell you that, I mean, that time I rode the wave. And we, as part of growing up in that era, obviously, we learnt many new skills which were not there in the industry before. Okay, but in hindsight, I can say, and we apply that. I apply that, for example. So similarly, when the wave of digital came last many years back, say 5-7 years back, and now, of course, this huge adoption. One of the things that I've realized that when I look at it from an outside, from a 35,000 feet, it is very important to train people very quickly. Because those skills never exist. So you have to have your plans in the pipeline. One of the big learnings that I've had, Shibani, is that, you know, plan in advance. So a lot of times, you know, you realize through the pandemic, we realize there is more growth than you can chew. So it is not only about pitching and winning, it is also ensuring that you have adequate supply of talent, talent engagement, you know, clear talent acquisition plans, because you will not grow if you are not able to, you know, sustain. You can't take those businesses if you don't have talent to support them.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, these
or
are
deliver.
Yes,
or
exactly
deliver to those businesses.
Exactly, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and delivering on clients that you have won and existing clients is extremely important because you are only as good as how well you're delivering on your clients.
So we are meeting, during the festive season. Anupriya, share with us what mediums are clients interested in, invested in during this festive season?
During the festive season, clearly we will see an emergence of a lot of other media as well, because as you're aware that a lot of categories come into play during the festive season, which are not there possibly through the year as much. Like your automobiles, consumer durables, and many other apparel, fashion, a lot gifting. So a lot of those will come into play, and on the other side, obviously, all the publishers across media ensure that they have a lot of original content, cricket and all of that. So which generates a lot of interest in the consumers as well. So during the festive season, we expect a lot of growth even on all the other channels, including print, including experiential marketing, out of home, all of that. So we expect that.
But some of the players and sectors that you mentioned, auto, FMCG, consumer durables, they are all facing supply chain issues, cost, inflationary headwinds, of course, the global impact of inflationary headwinds on their businesses. So do you think that will dampen the festive mood for us?
So there is no doubt that the global environment has been worsening. And it is having some headwinds in India. For example, we can see the funding winter, very early setting in of the funding winter, and it will have its impact on the startups, which have fueled a lot of advertising in the last few years, right? So that is there. Having said that, one is the fundamental economic indicators all are still showing steady growth. That's great. Festival is always an important time for Indians. So I think the festive season should not be an issue. I think we will see growth in that. And more importantly, Shivani, the long-term parameters for India are very strong. So, we cannot approach the market one season at a time, right? In the long term, I mean, a lot of people argue that it is the decade of India, right? And the huge domestic market that we have, I think is a huge opportunity, which is the reason it's so attractive for all the global advertisers, attractive for all the Indian advertisers. So that is not going to go away anywhere, the advantage that we have as a huge domestic market. So I think in the long term, any case, it's a strong view. A bit of caution, of course, has never hurt anybody. So that we will continue.
That's what everyone has been saying for the past 2 years.
Exactly.
What will be the key focus areas for the group in the coming months?
So one, of course, we'll continue to invest very heavily in capabilities and capacity. I spoke about that. It is very important both are very important for growth. So we'll continue to focus on that. Talent is going to be extremely important focus area, because these are very tied with the capacity and capability. You can't build that without a clear talent strategy. So that will continue to be very important. And last but not the least, I spoke about purpose being important to brand. And I talked about the fact that we are very excited being in the communications area to be able to play our role in that. So that is an area that we will surely focus on. Help brands, help businesses, reinvent their business around purpose and play a little part around.
Great. Having said that, Anupriya, about the talent and talent strategy, you mentioned it's really important to train the talent pretty quickly. But how do you acquire and attract the talent that has been moving away from this industry to other businesses and other sectors?
The key thing is that, is it an attractive profession, right? And I believe it is, despite all the sort of talent challenges and all of that. I mean, there is something which is there in this business which keeps it alive decade after decade after decade over centuries. This is not a business which has gone up and
What's
gone down.
attractive to you about this profession, and how has that changed over the years?
From the outside, it was very fascinating. Like a lot of people that I've interviewed later, I've realized people have just come in out of fascination and they didn't really know much about the business. And plus I come from a small town where there was no way of advertising also. So it was all very new for me. I got placed in media because I came from a science and maths background. So I think it was a fascination, but what has kept me in the business is more important. What has kept me in the business is that constantly you are learning new things. Because you have to be on top of consumer insights and on top of consumer behavior and trends, and hence so which means that you are always pushed to the edge as well. So you are always very contemporary in that sense in your thinking, right? whether it is new tools, whether it is consumer insights, whether you are close to the economy, what are happening, how various categories impact each other. So you have a very inside view of the consuming economy. So all of that makes it a very plus, unlike in a lot of other industries where you become very sort of straight-jacketed on areas that you're specializing in, I think that here you get a ringside view of a lot of things.
Yeah.
So that has been very interesting. I find the culture very interesting. It's fairly open, not very straight-jacketed. People are happy to have fun, and so that has suited my temperament as well. So I have had opportunities over many years, over decades, to move on to other businesses, but I have chosen to stay.
And great. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you very much. Lovely meeting you after such a long time.